Xbox had a very middling 2025 to say the least. However, 2026 is now shaping up to be a fantastic year for Xbox Game Pass subscribers across PC, cloud, and also our consoles. Today though, we'll be going through the 30 best day one games coming to Xbox Game Pass for the year of 2026. There are certainly going to be many more games announced over the coming months though. Do make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all things Xbox. With that though, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and in no particular order, let's just dive right into it. Buckshot Roulette takes the familiar concept of Russian roulette and then twists it into something far more unsettling. This game isn't just a game of chance, it's instead a tense tabletop style strategy experience where every decision feels like a gamble with real consequences. By introducing the likes of a shotgun and a set of cruel, unpredictable rules, the game creates a constant sense of dread that has already made it a cult hit over on PC already. Now it's finally making its way to Xbox and Game Pass, complete with a multiplayer mode supporting 2 to 4 players. That means your friends and you can sit across from each other and test your own nerves in a brutally suspenseful showdown. Originally, this one was delayed beyond 2025, but the game has now been reconfirmed for the release in first half of 2026, and it really is shaping up to be one of the most unique and stressful experiences on our Xbox consoles. Metroidvania fans are also getting seriously spoiled, and another standout has quickly entered the conversation. Mio Memories in Orbit has returned at the PC Gaming Show last year with a brand new trailer, and it focused entirely on mood, atmosphere, and its intrigue. Instead of over-explaining itself, the game lets its haunting visuals and calm poetic narration do the heavy lifting. The setting is also a massive space arc that's lost to time, filled with rogue machines and fragmented memories drifting through a cold mechanical abyss. Everything shown so far suggests that fluid movement, precise combat, and a strong sense of discovery will be at the forefront here. Best of all, we finally have a release date of the 20th of January, and it will be launching day one on the Xbox Game Pass, making it so incredibly easy for you all to check out. Seeing High on Life 2 pop up last year genuinely caught me off guard, and it's quickly become one of my most anticipated shooters heading into early 2026. The sequel keeps that chaotic spirit intact, throwing you back in with a dysfunctional lineup of talking alien weapons as you bounce between strange, colourful worlds. Movement looks even more playful this time around though, with now skating playing a bigger role in both the combat and the exploration. Story-wise though, it does lean heavily into a sort of stranger territory though, and it basically flips the original premise by having humans treated as zoo attractions rather than contraband. The short previews that I've been seeing tease the new fresh weapons, returning favourites, and even that unmistakable absurd humour. If it really does build on the original without losing its edge, this one feels destined to be another fan favourite release in 2026. When Replaced first appeared a few years back now, it immediately turned my head thanks to some of the most striking pixel art the medium has really ever seen. Since then, every new look has only strengthened the hype around this one. The game leans so heavily into that dark, grounded tone, pairing beautifully detailed environments with cinematic presentation, and just that fluid, free-flowing combat like you see in the Batman Arkham games. This one though is going to be set in a dystopian alternate version of the 1980s, and it really focuses heavily on its story, pulling players into a world full of mystery, corruption, and identity. Whilst the project has faced several delays now, and I'm so bloody annoyed by it all, the developers have now stated that this one will have a 2026 release window, and we should finally receive it this March. With a day one launch onto Xbox Game Pass as well, I'm more than ready now to just dive into the secrets of Phoenix City. One of Don't Nod's upcoming projects has really grabbed my attention, and it's known as Aphelion. The premise alone of this one is rather unsettling though, as essentially 2 astronauts will survive a crash on an uncharted planet, only to realise they are not alone, and whatever's out there is actually hunting them. The latest footage we saw introduced a terrifying presence known as the Nemesis, and is a creature that will relentlessly stalk both your characters. Combat isn't actually going to be an option in this one, which is truly unique, and it completely changes the entire tone to this one. Survival then really depends on you staying quiet, moving carefully, and using the environment to stay hidden, and we really don't see many of these stealth games these days. While there's no firm release date for this one as of yet, I do feel it's going to be an early 2026 launch, so probably sometime around that sort of April, maybe even March period. It's honestly shaping up to be something special, and Don't Nod really don't miss these days. It is safe to say though that roguelikes aren't slowing down anytime soon, and one of the more creative twists on the genre is called Erosion. This is a brand new IP that's going to be set in a broken post-apocalyptic Wild West, where the world itself is unstable and constantly changing. What is really looking to separate it though from the pack is honestly its pixel voxel design, and it kind of allows the environments to be fully destructible, meaning nearly everything can be blown apart, reshaped, or just used to your advantage. Between fast, chaotic dungeon runs, you will be free to explore that open world by hunting bounties, dueling your rivals, and just racing trucks across salt flats, or you can even just fish for creatures out in the sand. Progression will also carry throughout your runs with permanent upgrades, making every attempt feel really meaningful. With Xbox Game Pass actually backing this one, this feels like another unexpected indie standout just waiting to happen sometime this year. It's genuinely surprising to see Beast of Reincarnation exist at all, especially knowing that this one comes from Game Freak. For a studio that's so closely tied to Pokemon these days, this feels like a complete creative reset rather than a side experiment. The project carries a much heavier and sort of cinematic tone to it, with a richly detailed environment that immediately set it apart from anything the team has ever done before. Visually, as you can see on screen now, it leans into a sort of more grounded, almost mythical style that's drawn comparisons to stuff like Wild Hearts and also Monster Hunter Wilds. That doesn't diminish the ongoing Pokemon projects, which I'm sure they pretty much have many by now, but it's still refreshing to see the studio explore a brand new identity. The reveal really did come out of nowhere, and now the big question is though, whether this bold shift can actually fully pay off for this year. Revealed during the Xbox Partner Showcase towards the end of 2025, Echo Generation 2 immediately caught my attention, and that's largely because I really love the original. This sequel though keeps the striking voxel art style that really pushes the concept much further, but it's leaning harder this time into its sci-fi elements and supernatural themes. Instead of it being confined to a single small town mystery, the scope now explores outwards, taking players across worlds and even galaxies while playing with time and reality itself. The tone also sounds really noticeably darker and way more intense, which would give the storyline some real weight to it. The good news is that this sequel is also being designed to welcome newcomers, so if you haven't played the first game, it will be a must play if you just enjoy turn-based RPGs. Denshattack is a very interesting new game coming in spring 2026. This one though is published by Fireshine Games, and it's a fast-paced arcade action game in which you drive a train through ridiculous stages, and you also trick it like a skateboard. It is inspired by anime and Japanese culture in general, as well as games such as Jet Set Radio, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and even Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's a mad combination of ideas that definitely has sort of Dreamcast/PS2 energy to it. Each of the game's 50+ stages, which you'll have at the gate though, will challenge you in various wild ways as you master the breakneck gameplay at your disposal, which involves racing along the train tracks as well as pulling off a number of outlandish maneuvers. Honestly, it looks pretty great and utterly wild, and you can look forward to it sometime this year. I have no doubt that Fable is going to be easily the most anticipated game for all of us Xbox gamers this year, and I do expect we might see more in early 2026, specifically this January, thanks to the Xbox Partner Preview event, which should be taking place very soon. With the likes of Playground Games at the helm though, they're the masters behind the Forza Horizon series, I think many of us will actually be in for a treat for this one. From the short snippets of the alpha gameplay along with the trailers they've shown so far, they seem to have really nailed the Fable tropes we know and love, from the dark humour, the witty British banter, and of course that gorgeous open world. Whilst we've yet to receive any sort of concrete details about the Fable game mechanics or even sort of what the story implies, there were some real glimpses of what we might be able to expect. Of course, the likes of sword combat was shown, the sort of enemies we might encounter as well, along with the massive breadth of the open world that Playground Games are really aiming for. I think this will easily top the charts when it finally arrives, and this will also be launching day one onto Xbox Game Pass. It is hard to imagine 2026 without Forza Horizon 6 just dominating the conversation. This series has grown into one of gaming's biggest heavyweights, and the next entry already feels destined to be absolutely massive. As someone who's now spent countless hours with the franchise, especially Forza Horizon 4, the idea of just finally taking Horizon to Japan is incredibly exciting. It's a setting that many of us fans have actually been begging for years at this point, but with Playground Games still leading development, my expectations are understandably high for this one. Right now, all we have is a very brief teaser just confirming the game's existence, but really that's enough to spark my hype. I'd fully expect gameplay reveals to start rolling out as well at that Xbox Partner Preview event, which is due, of course, sometime in January. As another big Xbox first-party title, and instead of pushing the timeline forward like we came to expect, Gears of War E-Day is now choosing to rewind the clock to the exact moment that the world fell apart. This new entry though drops us into Emergence Day itself, long before the original trilogy, when Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago are still just soldiers trying to make sense of a collapsing world. Their homecoming is cut short, of course, as the Locust Horse will erupt from below, turning entire cities into war zones overnight. While we're still waiting on a proper gameplay showing and an official release date. Everything shown so far suggests a 2026 launch, and they did actually tease that in a recent Game Pass trailer. What's more exciting is the tone of this one is looking to feel more bleak, grounded and unsettling, and kind of hints at the early days of the original Gears of War. If that's the case, this could be a powerful return to form, and I'm just so bloody excited for this one. There was no avoiding this news in today's video though, as Halo Campaign Evolved, yes, is officially landing this year. Rather than pushing the story forward, this project instead will rewind all the way back to the beginning with a full remake of Combat Evolved. This one isn't going to be a simple remaster though. The campaign is actually being rebuilt with modern visuals, alongside updated systems, and even 3 brand new missions that didn't exist in the original 2001 release. That said though, I'm a little conflicted about it. A brand new Halo chapter would have been way more exciting, and the early footage hasn't exactly been reassuring, as it looked bloody rough in places. Even so though, the decision to launch it without multiplayer also makes it feel lighter than expected, but still, for campaign focused fans out there, it may be one you'll be excited for, and of course it will also be available day one on Game Pass for you to try out. From the award-winning developers of The Artful Escape, now comes Mixtape. We will get to immerse ourselves in the teenage wasteland, playing through a variety of narrative vignettes, exploring the pivotal moments of this game. The story is actually being delivered through what they're calling a mixtape of comedic, joyful gameplay, from stuff like skateboarding and flying, to taking photos after hours at an abandoned theme park, alongside so much more. It seems similar to games like What Remains of Edith Finch, and it looks like Mixtape ties its narrative to a very sort of unique vignette-driven structure that emphasizes variety, surprise and comedy within its gameplay. We still really don't have many details about this one, but it was delayed outside of 2025 and it now should be coming in early 2026 on all the Xbox consoles and PC. Out of nowhere, Armatus has easily become one of the more intriguing Xbox Game Pass reveals in our recent months. This one is going to be set in a demon-infested version of Paris, and it's a third-person roguelike shooter that's built around fast decision-making and constant pressure. The devs have stated that every run will push you to combine gunplay with brutal scythe combat, forcing you to stay aggressive rather than defensive, which is really great to see. What really stood out to me though is how much your build can actually evolve throughout the game, as you'll have stuff like celestial abilities and passive upgrades that do reshape your playstyle after every single attempt. The action looks utterly relentless with little room to breathe, and if they can really stick that landing and polish that combat loop, this could be one of the biggest surprises on Xbox Game Pass in 2026 as a whole. Sequels are practically everywhere at this moment in time, but Planet of Lana 2 was a genuinely unexpected reveal for me. This follow-up is bringing us back alongside Lana and our loyal companion known as Mui, setting off on a new journey that leads deep beneath the surface of Novo. This time though, an ancient mystery will lie waiting below, and a growing threat is set to challenge the bond that defined the first game, pushing Lana to face her own destiny. Gameplay wise, the focus remains on thoughtful, physics-based puzzles like we kind of saw in the original, but now actually introducing some new movement abilities like wall jumps and even run slides. If this one really delivers some smarter mechanics alongside a stronger journey, then I'm more than happy to dive back into it and play Planet of Lana yet again. Another game that isn't going far into the future like Gears of War and is actually going back in time is Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy, and it's actually reframing the series entirely. It's going to be set 15 years before A Plague Tale Innocence, and the game will follow Sophia. She's basically living as a nomadic plunderer with no permanent home, and her journey takes her to Minotaur's Island, which is a hostile and mysterious location where medieval Europe will collide with echoes of ancient Minoan myth. The focus appears to be on survival, exploration and puzzle solving across shifting time periods, all while being relentlessly hunted through labyrinthian environments. We haven't actually seen any gameplay for this one as of yet, apart from some very small snippets for its sort of reveal trailer, but it is confirmed for a 2026 release. If they executed well, this could be one of the boldest evolutions this series has attempted, and I'm really hyped for it because the first 2 games were just so utterly fantastic. Some games will grab your attention not by being loud, but by being oddly specific, and There Are No Ghosts of the Gram did exactly that for me. This is a story-driven experience that will put you in the role of Chris David, who unexpectedly inherits a rundown seaside hotel from his father, and just basically has 30 days and nights to restore it. The twist is, that's how you do it though. There's 7 unconventional, borderline magical tools that will let you blast, vacuum, and just reshape entire rooms from a first-person perspective. On the surface, it might resemble a renovation sim like Hotel Renovator, but the tone and narrative ambition push it somewhere far more interesting. What initially left me unsure has completely won me over, as it's so bold, creative, and just refreshingly strange in a great way. Shifting gears though from something incredibly strange, we're actually having a new bold take on an existing franchise, as we finally got the reveal last year of Super Meat Boy 3D. This time around, the series is actually being handled by a new studio named Slugify, and they're taking Team Meat's iconic indie platformer into the third dimension. At its core though, it will still have that classic Super Meat Boy formula, with its lightning fast levels, pixel perfect jumps, and many deaths, but of course you will be saving Banjo Girl still from that very evil fetus in a jar. The big question is though, how well can they sort of change that tight 2D design into a 3D environment? But well, from what I've seen so far and from what I've heard from previews, the speed, charm and punishment are all intact. It will be launching in early 2026, and of course it is coming day one to Game Pass, which makes this an easy one to really be excited about. I won't lie, at first glance I thought this next game was just Supermarket Simulator, but then I saw aliens and realised it was something completely different. Roadside Research is going to be a game where you and up to 3 friends can take on the role of aliens studying humans at a roadside gas station. You will of course have to manage the gas station yourself, try and study the human customers while they come in and out, and then try to keep your alien identity hidden so you don't get captured. As a co-op game as well, you can be rest assured that you'll get up to all sorts of shenanigans, and there's going to be some incredible sort of gameplay moments coming out from this one. Roadside Research currently has a demo over on PC at the moment, and it's been having some great reviews, and when it first launches it also will arrive into early access, so we'll have some continuing content coming out from the gaps. It will be heading our way in Q1 2026, so we could see this land on the Game Pass in early January or even February. Now, we haven't actually seen any gameplay at the time of this recording today, and we only have a rather short trailer, but Persona 4 Revival is officially real, and it will be coming to Xbox Game Pass day one in 2026. There is no fixed date yet, except for that 2026 window, and it also seems like details for this one are pretty sparse across the board at the moment. Obviously, this will be a remake of Persona 4 Golden, similar in vein to what we had with Persona 3 Reload, which was awesome to see. I would be keen though to hear your thoughts on this one, and if you're excited for this revival in the comments below. Whilst there though, and if you're really enjoying this video so far and you're finding it helpful, please do hit that like button and also subscribe, as I will be uploading Xbox content on a daily basis. I cover everything from Xbox news, reviews, updates and so much more, and I would love for you to join one of the fastest growing Xbox communities here on YouTube. Thanks so much again for your support. Let's just dive right into the remaining games. Manor arrived earlier in 2024 onto PC Game Pass, and it was a massive hit upon its release. This one though was actually a medieval strategy game that featured in-depth city building alongside large-scale tactical battles and complex economic and social simulations. Amazingly, it was actually the brainchild of just a single developer though, so back in late 2023 it was mentioned that an Xbox version would be coming shortly after launch. However, about a year and a half later we still haven't got any updates, except it's still in the works. Honestly, I cannot wait to get my hands on this one, and I really hope they nail the gameplay mechanics, especially for the controller support. If it actually goes well, this is one of the best strategy games you'll be able to play on Xbox, as it's bloody fantastic over on PC at the moment. It looks as though the ocean will be calling our name once again this year, as Subnautica 2 looks ready to drag us back into its depths in a very big way. This time, survival isn't going to be a solo experience either, as now co-op multiplayer lets you explore the alien seas alongside your friends. That shared sense of discovery and also fear feels like a natural evolution for this series, as the world itself is going to be so much larger and way more varied, featuring new biomes for you to explore alongside glowing coral environments, pitch black trenches and so much more. The base building elements have also been expanded from what I've seen, really allowing you to create some sprawling underwater hubs, which are going to look absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to see just different players' creations. Of course, the danger hasn't gone anywhere as well, as there'll be deadlier leviathans, and of course the aggressive wildlife just waiting for you. This one was delayed of course due to the ongoing sort of legal battles and troubles they've been having over the past couple of years, but it is stated at the moment for a game preview launch sometime in 2026. As an awesome announcement, the Spiritfarer devs have also returned with a brand new IP, and it's really exciting me as Spiritfarer was bloody incredible, but this new game is called At Fate's End. While Spiritfarer offered a more sort of slow-paced experience filled with charming characters and a really gripping narrative, At Fate's End has a contrasting action-packed style to it. The gameplay is going to be equal parts narrative fantasy with intriguing combat style, since you can actually use tactical dialogue mid-fight or psychological insight about your family to turn the tide of battle. As you progress throughout the story though, you'll be facing even more of your estranged family members, and you can advance your skill tree in different ways depending on whether you defeat them or reconcile with them. Thunder Lotus Games at the moment hasn't set a hard release date, but At Fate's End is expected to release sometime this year, and of course it will be launching day one onto Xbox Game Pass. The highly anticipated Sledding Game is coming to Xbox Game Pass this year. The developer, known as the Sledding Corporation, confirmed that the game will launch into the service day one, and it just looks bloody hilarious. If you're unfamiliar, Sledding Game has really become a little bit of a viral hit over on social media, from Instagram and TikTok, with videos for the cozy title gathering millions upon millions of views, and I know so many are just so anticipated of this one. Basically, it's a multiplayer hangout game, and I know people are calling these games sort of friend slop, I believe, these days, and it's going to have proximity chat where you control a funky little guy and then go sledding, take on different activities, or just sit down and relax. It looks like a wicked time, especially with your pals, and sometimes we do need these little sort of cozy and fun sort of games, especially after a hard day at work, and it's nice just to unwind. This next game is actually a sequel, and the initial game has been on Game Pass for quite some while now, and is synonymous with the achievement hunting community. With a stunning art style and a jazzy, addictive soundtrack, Genesis Noir really stole my heart when it launched all the way back in 2021. Their new game though, called Nirvana Noir, will add colour this time to the beautiful expanding Noir universe, and even more of those jazzy tunes for us to enjoy. There will also be a lot of tactile interactions, generative art, simple puzzles, and just musical toys that were featured in Genesis Noir, but with Nirvana Noir there seems to be a richer plot, larger environments to explore, and dialogue interactions. Again, this one looks incredibly interesting, and I just can't wait to see more and hopefully get a fixed release date sometime soon. There was also a brand new indie game called Harmonium the Musical, which was announced about a year ago now, and it looks to champion beautiful and meaningful stories for the deaf in our society. This upcoming indie game though saw the developers work really closely with artists and developers from that deaf community in the hopes of creating a new kind of music focused experience. The game has various characters, some with hearing aids and signing to one another, and the story seems to follow a young girl who is hard of hearing exploring how to explore her love for music. This looks like a great game, especially adding to the inclusion of gamers everywhere. Might not be for everyone, but it's great to see these different and wild experiences. Just when it seemed like Ponkel had found its perfect formula, the team went in a completely different direction now, and their next project, known as Vampire Crawlers, reimagined the chaos of their original Vampire Survivors, instead through a first-person card-driven lens. Instead of dodging endless waves of enemies, this time we will build decks that unleash familiar powers in strategic ways. You will have the iconic tools like Garlic, the Whip, and even the Bible, which haven't disappeared. They've simply just been transformed into cards that shape every run. From the trailer, you can spot the foundations of a classic roguelike deck builder, but with very unique twists that keep it unpredictable. There's no firm launch date for this one yet, but if I'm a betting man, I would say that this one is going to be so insanely addictive, and you're going to be hooked on this one for hundreds of hours. Now let's talk about something a little bit different, and probably one you've never heard of before, and is very dark and gritty, and it's called Vapor World Over the Mind, and it will be coming to Game Pass quite soon. If you're a fan of Souls-like games, you definitely need to keep this one on your radar, as many have basically said is a 2.5D Lies of P. It is right though, it is a side-scrolling ARPG that's heavily inspired by Sekiro's parrying mechanics and the dark atmospheric vibes of something like Bloodborne. The game was originally funded though through a Kickstarter campaign, and it really smashed every single milestone, which means the devs are able to bring their ambitious ideas to life for the very first time. The combat is very fast-paced and unforgiving, and the world is dripping with so much dark, moody atmosphere. If you love challenging combat and exploring twisted, dangerous worlds, then Vapor World is going to be right up your alley. Up next, we actually have a PC Game Pass exclusive title, and it is a turn-based tactical RPG called MENACE. This game puts you in command of an elite strike force who must take out an alien threat. Basically, when distress signals start rolling in from planet to planet, you get to decide where to respond to and then engage. On the ground, you'll have to train and equip infantry, deploy your tanks, and utilize hulking mech to eliminate hostile aliens in turn-based battles. This game kind of gives me a sort of XCOM Command and Conquer vibe to it, and I'm really just looking forward to diving into it for the very first time. As mentioned, this one is currently slated for PC Game Pass only at the time it was first released, but I do anticipate a console release sometime down the line, and hopefully in the same year as well. What Xbox Game Pass title from this list today really intrigues you? Is there anything that you're looking forward to, or are you hoping to see any existing titles also land onto the service? You'll have to let me know down below. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed yet again, and do subscribe as well, as I will be uploading Xbox content on a daily basis. Thanks so much, and if you want to check out some more amazing Xbox content here on the channel, why don't you check out the video on screen now? I actually covered some of the games you may have missed which did launch in December 2025, and there's a few Xbox and also Game Pass titles here you definitely need to be aware of.